Welcome to the Clay Edwards Podcast, the shot of adrenaline your mornings didn't know we needed. It's now time to sit down, strap in, and turn it up to 11.
Are you ready?
I feel like Jackson, Mississippi.
As we go to war for the soul of America, your host, award-winning podcaster, Clay Edwards.
All right, we're going to try this again. Hopefully, this time we have sound. All right, we're going to try this again. All right, I got it on my devices, so I hope y'all got sound this time. Welcome again to the Save JXN Podcast, episode 61. Chokwe and the Raw Boo-Boos. Thank you for everybody who sent me a message letting me know that the sound was boo-boo. I do appreciate that. I hate that I have to read all that again, but as life goes, I am a professional and the show must go on. The Clay Edwards Show. Or Save JXN Podcast, whichever you want to call it. Look, I want to welcome to the show brand new sponsors. Coleman Taylor Transmission, right there on Highway 80 in Jackson. They're coming on as a sponsor of the Clay Edwards Show on 103.9 WYAB and right here online on the Save JXN Podcast. You can get in touch with them at ColemanTaylorJacksonMS.com or give them a call at 601-355-8526. At Coleman Taylor Transmission, they provide free transmission inspections with no obligation and no disassembly towing on major repairs, and they confidently offer a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty. They are dedicated to making their customers informed, comfortable, and completely satisfied, and they offer free towing on large jobs. Again, Coleman Taylor Transmission, welcome aboard to the Clay Edwards Show and the Save JXN Podcast. Also, check out AM Handyman and Repair. Alan Morris and his team, if you're looking to do any kind of remodel at your house, give them a call. I'll shoot their number out. I shared it on Facebook earlier, and I forgot to write the dang number down. But great people, excited to have them on board. Going to be a good time. I've been looking for a remodel team to get on here, and I think they're going to be perfect for it. So one of the things I wanted to mention that I talked about is this right here. I just pulled it up on the screen here. And I'm going to read this again because I think this is worth rehashing. Back around May 26th, on May 26th, a report came out about how much raw sewage had been dumped into the city, not into the city, but into the Pearl River during the flood of late February or so of last year of 2020. It was, I think you would call it like maybe the Valentine's flood in Jackson, in the Tri-County area. So I'm going to read this real quick, man. I think it's very relevant to what's going on right now. 476,541,680 gallons of raw sewage leaked directly to the Pearl River from one location at 408 Jefferson Street in Jackson during the heavy rain and flood event of the first 3 months of 2020. The largest single-day discharge occurred on January 11th when 6,831,520 gallons of raw sewage flowed from that location. Let me say that again. 6,831,520 gallons flowed from that one location at Jefferson Street into the Pearl River and downriver in one day on January 11th, 2020. This is enough raw sewage released in one day to fill 10 Olympic swimming pools. Days in January through March 2020 when 100,000 gallons of raw sewage leaked from Jefferson Street, 14. Days when the city of Jackson, the Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality, or the EPA issued a warning or advisory to the public or downstream communities, 0. I'm going to say that again. Over 100,000 gallons of raw sewage leaked from that Jefferson Street location 14 different days in the first 3 months of 2020. The amount of times that the city of Jackson, the MDEQ, and the EPA issued a warning or an advisory to the public downstream, 0. So during the same quarter of January through March 2020, 36 additional sanitary sewer overflow discharges to waters of the state occurred, and prohibited bypasses at the Savannah Street wastewater treatment plant released 5.7 billion gallons of minimally treated sewage into the Pearl. I'm going to share this blog here into the comments, and I recommend y'all checking it out. I think it is something that is absolutely insane and worth you guys really diving into. And I'm going to pull back up why I think it's important here. So here's the link to the Pearl River Keepers blog. And they're on Facebook too. You can see it there. It's Pearl River Keeper. That's it. Just go type in Pearl River Keeper into Facebook. And they do an excellent job of kind of keeping everybody up to date in what's going on with the Pearl River and the surrounding area. Whether you live in Jackson or not, it's very relevant to your health, the Pearl River being clean. If I have to explain that with my low information ass, you're in bad shape. So another article I ran across while on there was from September 18th, 2020. This is on WJTV, and I'm sure it was on every other website, every other news site at the time. Hell, I probably shared it too. The city of Jackson will use more than $6 million to repair failing sewer infrastructure. With funding from the city's budget and the Siemens lawsuit, sewage projects will begin as soon as next week to fix sewer line backups across the city. What we are doing is, as we have isolated areas where we know we have collapses within the right of way or within the street, we're also looking at other areas outside the perimeter, and we are trying to clean those areas that's contributing to the sewer that's back up our residents' homes, says Dr. Charles Williams, City of Jackson engineer. Mayor Lumumba said neighbors will not have to continue to experience sewer drainage issues once these projects are complete. While it may take a little longer than what we want to take in order to address these issues, we want our residents to know that we will leave no stone unturned in order to address these issues in which they are suffering from, stated the mayor. Along with the sewer repairs, road resurfacing throughout Jackson will take place. Sewer projects underway include Ridgewood Road. I'm not going to go into all of it. Y'all can see it there. Ridgewood, White Oak, Purple Creek, Woodell, Prosperity Street, Edgewood, Medgar Evers, Raymond Road, Skaggan Drive. Now, it's just funny going back and reading this, isn't it? Especially after the ice storm, when they claimed that they were going to fix a bunch of stuff. Now, look, we all know that $6 million isn't a drop in the bucket for the problems that Jackson's water and sewer has. But he sure painted it like it was going to fix all the problems, didn't he? Look, man, you say what you want about Chokwe and just this whole administration and the last several administrations. But when you know you've got a problem, how about not hide it? How about tell people and be honest what's going on? I can handle you saying, Clay, things are effed up. They're messed up. You know, we're doing what we can. Yeah, you know, man, I think we've all had an experience with a business, a bad experience at a business. Maybe we were the bad experience for somebody. And it's so often, it's not about a business having perfect service. It's about how you handle bad service or a bad situation. You step in front of it and say, hey, look, bad deal. I'm sorry. What can we do to make it right? Or there's nothing I can do, honestly, to make it right, but I just want to be completely transparent and honest with you about what's going on. I think that would go so much further. Actually, I don't think I know that would go so much further in the city of Jackson than just lying. So, as y'all know, the mayor and the EPA waited till the day after the primaries to release a report about how messed up the Jackson water really is and how clean it isn't. And it's all coming from that HB Curtis plant. There's a great story here on Jackson Jambalaya on Kingfish where he breaks down WLBT finally calls out Lumumba on the lies. And I think it's pretty interesting that somebody else finally called him out. Here's the link to that. Try to post these links in the article in the story here so y'all can kind of do your own follow-up, because look, I'm not the best public reader, nor do I try to be. But I'm going to just kind of give you the cliff notes here on the Jackson Jambalaya article. It says Jackson Mayor Antar Lumumba keeps referring to the EPA emergency administrative order issued a year ago as a letter, even though it is nothing of the kind. Try as he might, the mayor just can't seem to make everyone else see it his way, WLBT reported last night. Antar said Jackson water quality is not unsafe and that the EPA order is more of a discussion over process than it is over quality of water. Ooh, that's some mental gymnastics right there. Tuesday, Jackson leaders discussed an emergency administrative order handed down by the Environmental Protective Agency, known as EPA, regarding the city's public water system. Lumumba refused to go into details during the open session, but said Jackson's water quality has never been in question. By who? Who has never questioned Jackson's water quality? Even the most blindly loyal Chokwe loyalists know that Jackson got some raw boo-boo up in that water. Who? I would say it is more of a discussion of a process than it is over quality of water, he said. It would not only be a failure of the city of Jackson, but it would be a failure of the State Department of Health for us to okay bad water for the residents of Jackson. A copy of the March 2020 emergency executive order from the EPA, though, seems to say different. In it, the agency states the conditions exist at the water treatment facility for imminent and substantial endangerment to persons served by the system. Now that sounds like way more than a letter simply suggesting that there's some bad process going on over there. And so back to this is Kingfish here. Said their line Lumumba goes again. No one said the water is unsafe now. The EPA said conditions existed a year ago for an emergency. The mayor next calls the whole matter a discussion over process. No, Mr. Mayor. The EPA said monitors, UV disinfectors, dosers, valves, and other necessary equipment were missing, broken, or improperly used at the two water treatment plants. This is not a process, no matter how much you whine that it is. WLBT continues. The federal officials conducted inspections at the OB Curtis and JH Fuel water treatment plants at the behest of the State Department of Health. The order goes on to state that the EPA identified numerous concerns related to bacterial contamination and proper disinfection. The EPA did an inspection of the city's water sewer plants in February of 2020 after the city failed to provide proper reports to the agency for nearly 3 years. Now, digest that and think back to that article I just read from you concerning what happened between January and March. So all of this happened before that report about the 500 million gallons of raw sewer coming out of the Jefferson Street manhole after the floods. Y'all, we've been drinking some really nasty water in Jackson for a long time, but no less than the last year and a half. If you've been sick and it wasn't COVID, allegedly, if you had any kind of bacterial infection, stomach bug, food poisoning, but nobody else got sick type stuff, you may have been poisoned by Jackson water. This is just my opinion. So I want to say allegedly. But man, that's rough. That is real rough. Let me jump in here, man. I want to see y'all's comments here. Yeah. Look, man. Again, you can be the most blind Antar loyalist in the world. But this is your public, this is your health. This isn't random gunshots. This ain't any of that nonsense. This is the real deal, man. This is your children's health. This is food this is water you cook with, clean with. The expectation is for this to be clean and you not get poisoned. The Jackson water situation is dire. They can blame it all on whoever they want. But this is basic. Some of this stuff is basic maintenance coming from that plant that they're not doing right, because you have people with Dunning-Kruger effect in charge. It's mind-boggling to me how bad it is, and just how incompetent some of these folks are. You know, somebody sent me the Dunning-Kruger thing, and I did a story. I've used this analogy before discussing what's going on in Jackson with the leaders here. And just, I'm trying not to make this political. If y'all aren't familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect, Dan Bongino absolutely roasted Geraldo Rivera last night on the Hannity show. And I don't care if you like Hannity, Dan Bongino, Geraldo Rivera, regardless of your politics, I highly recommend you go find that roast last night. And Geraldo lost it and started cussing on national TV. I mean, he looked as mad and upset as he was when he opened Al Capone's vaults and there wasn't nothing there. And Bongino got on his podcast today and was like, and he broke down the Dunning-Kruger effect. And I'm going to just read it to you here real quick. Shout out to my buddy Judd for sending this over to me. I definitely think there's some of that going on here. So the Dunning-Kruger effect is a hypothetical cognitive bias stating that people with low ability at a task overestimate their ability. Like what I'm doing right here, thinking I'm good at talking to on the camera and reading. My mind says I'm really good at this, but I really know I'm not. But hey, you're here by choice. I'm not an elected official. Anyway, so as described by social psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger, the bias results from an eternal illusion in people's low ability and from an external misperception in people of high ability. That is, the miscalibration or the incompetence stems from an error about the self, whereas the miscalibration of the high competence stems from an error about others. It is related to my inability to take a proper screenshot, apparently. Long story short, when really dumb people with no experience on something comment on it with complete confidence. And that has got to be what's going on in Jackson. It's like these guys, they get up there and they read a book. They're like, okay, we're really smart. We can read. So I'm now an expert on what I'm about to tell you. It's like these people who think that law enforcement, like there's a peaceful way to do law enforcement without firearms when you deal with violent criminals. Basically, if you sign up to be a cop, they think you should just sign up to die and fight crime with your bare hands and rainbows and butterflies. I get so angry when I think about that. They have no clue what they're talking about. And I know I haven't been a cop either, but I really try not to criticize what police do in the field. Until you've been in that situation, man, it's hard to put yourself in that situation. We talked about it on the show on WYAB this week. Jason Anderson came on, and he didn't get political or nothing like that, but he was just stating that, and Bongino mentioned this last night, that so when a cop is armed, they'll have their gun. So if they're right-handed, their gun will be on the right side, and the second option, the non-lethal option or whatever you want to call it, will be cross-body. So the hope is if they get into a instantaneous life or death situation, they can get their gun, boom, boom. But if they have a second to think, and it may not be a life or death situation, they can go cross-body, or at least if they think they can get out of the situation without fatal force, lethal force, they can go cross-body and get the stun gun. So that's the assumption of what happened with the other guy that got killed the other night in Minnesota by the female cop, the Dwayne guy, Dwayne Wright, I think maybe was his name. Is that she says she got confused and went to grab the stun gun instead of the pistol. But for that to be true, that means she would have forgot to go cross-body. So, a lot of people just saying that it was negligent, that she meant to kill the guy. I don't think she meant to kill the guy, but I do believe there was negligence there. But it's hard to say what any of us would do in that situation. You hate that it happened. The timing for something like that couldn't be worse. But, it is what it is. So with that said, I know I said I was going to talk about the George Floyd, Derek Chauvin trial. So let me speak on this real quick, because then I want to go into the Charlotte Reeves stuff. This is just me speaking hypothetically here, just from watching some of the trial and reading as much as I can on it. I think we all watched what happened with George Floyd for the most part. Deontay Wright, thank you, Corinthian, for correcting me. I think we all watched the George Floyd thing last year for the most part and thought, man, that was really messed up. It was hard. That was hard to watch. I don't care what your political leanings are, or your feelings on police or people resisting arrest or whatever. It was hard to watch. And as the story comes out more and more and more, it really looks like Floyd and Chauvin they were bad people. They ran into each other on a bad day, and a really terrible tragedy came out of that. Floyd was high, had swallowed a bunch of drugs. That's not debatable. Derek Chauvin had his foot on his neck for way too long. That's not debatable. Whether he died from asphyxiation, strangulation from the foot being on his neck, or that caused a heart attack. I just think it was I was telling my friend today at work, I think it was the imperfect worlds lined up just right for a tragedy from both ends. Just man, moment, machine collided. And America is going to end up at war with itself. It really already has. It's been all summer doing it last year, and it's already on course to do it again. If it's a high possibility after watching that trial that Chauvin could be found not guilty. I don't want to say innocent, but not guilty on some of those charges. The murder too. There was no intent there. I can't believe that they overshot with murder too. They probably could have got a manslaughter. But murder too, that means you have to have had intent to kill, and I don't think they proved that. But we'll see how it all works out. But anyway, so I say all that to say this. I think that if Chauvin is found, let's just pretend for a second Chauvin's found not guilty. It's going to be a war zone in some of these major cities. I'm worried about what happens in somewhere like Jackson. When they had the George Floyd rally here, it was peaceful. There wasn't any nonsense. And if they do it again, I hope it's the same outcome. I don't pull for bad things to happen, but unfortunately, I believe that it's a powder keg in America right now. And I thought, electing, or let's just say, I thought Joe Biden ended up president was supposed to make all this go away, that it was give us Biden, get rid of Trump, and, we'll forgive and forget all this nonsense. But, I thought all this stuff was supposed to that wasn't supposed to happen no more. And here we are. And here we are with another murder happening within 10 miles, or another cop and African-American incident happening within 10 miles of the George Floyd trial in Minnesota, basically a suburb of Brooklyn City, a suburb of Minneapolis. And then you had a 13-year-old boy get killed by the police the other day. And I haven't watched that. I don't want to speak on that one. Yeah, Corinthians had a mistrial. And that's what I say. When I say I don't think he'll be found innocent, obviously, but I think not guilty, if that makes any sense. A mistrial, I think, is the most likely outcome on that. I don't think they're going to get a complete guilty verdict there. And then I know that the 13-year-old kid got shot. Was it in Chicago? Had an airsoft gun, something. I may have my incidents confused. I haven't watched all of it, so I don't really want to speak on that one until I've had a chance to really watch it and dissect it. But long story short, there's a powder keg building, and as it gets hotter and hotter outside, and when that verdict comes out, man, buckle up is all I'm saying. And the media is doing nothing to help it. They're just over there pouring gas on it. It's going to be ugly. That's why I really try not to talk about that, because I don't think nothing good comes out of it at this point. But I believe you can't find somebody guilty just to prevent people from burning down cities. Like if the evidence does not show that Chauvin intentionally did it based on the charges they put forth, I don't know how you can just find somebody guilty because you're worried about the mob coming after you or for the greater good. It's like, look, man, maybe he didn't do it, whatever. You can't do that, man. You cannot sacrifice the justice system. Americans already don't trust it as it is. And it's going to you don't want all of America not having faith in the justice system. But then again, you have one whole side of the country is not going to have faith in it if he isn't found guilty. But they probably shouldn't have put all their hope in it being found guilty. The situation being caught on camera like it was a bad situation. But the guy put himself in a bad situation. Let me check out some of these comments here. And I hope I'm making sense tonight, man. It's a lot to digest. If y'all could see inside my brain, it's just a million things going in circles, hitting each other head on. Like I got a billion ideas and I'm trying to articulate them out of my mouth without stumbling over myself. It's funny, when I started doing radio a couple months ago, I was all nervous about having to sit there and not look into a camera and not having that live interaction. And I'd gotten really comfortable doing this. Now it's like the other way around. I've gotten really comfortable not having to look into a camera and just being able to talk and do a commercial break if I was getting stumbled, whatever. Where now it's, when I come back to do the lives, it's a little nerve-wracking. But I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. So thank y'all. But look, anyway, so George says he's going to keep his hairs raised too. It's got to get better. Shannon, miss you too, brother. How you doing, man? All right, so Richard Fuller says, the South made our racism into laws and put them in writing. We had to confront our bigotry in the 60s. The rest of the country hasn't had to deal with theirs. So they are trying to figure out what to do and don't know. You know what? I'm going to put this on the screen here. I've been saying this till I was blue in the face. Isn't it amazing? And by the grace of God, the South has such a terrible reputation, a lot of it earned, for past transgressions with racism and what happened in the civil rights era and prior to that. But since then, and I'm not saying there ain't been racism on both sides, because now it's just wide open. It's okay it's openly okay and promoted to hate white people. But I got thick skin. I can live with that. But none of these events happen here, do they? I mean, I know we've had a situation here and there, but these big powder keg national, situations, they don't happen here. We get along here. You would get online and think that we don't get along, and we don't online, but nobody does. People get very comfortable talking smack on social media on both sides, there's more than two sides. If America ever really goes to civil war, there's not going to be the left and the right running to each other in the middle, like you see in the old Civil War movies. It's going to be like 30 or 40, 50 splintered groups all fighting each other. We're way more complicated than just the left and the right. I mean, you're gonna have all sorts of different groups looking out for number one. Now, it's not going to be two different groups going at each other. But anyhow, I digress. It's funny that we catch all the flack down south about all these events, and we're down here arguing with each other over something that happened in Minnesota. This is now 3 cop-owned black victim-related crimes in the last 2 years. There's the Philando Castilla. Sorry if I'm not getting the name right there, but y'all know who I'm talking about. He was the one that went to get his wallet out of the glove box, glove box, and got shot on Facebook Live. That one was terrible. Absolutely terrible. I don't think there was any. I mean, they could say there was this, there was that. He had smoked some weed, whatever. That was terrible. Then there was George Floyd, obviously, and now the one last week, the Devontae Wright. So those are all in Minneapolis, Minnesota, not Jackson, Mississippi, not Birmingham, Alabama, not Atlanta, Georgia, not even Chicago. Minneapolis, Minnesota. I mean, I'm going to be 100% honest here. This may sound terrible coming from me. I was not even aware there were that many African Americans in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I went to a Saints game, the NFC Championship game, but the year they won the Super Bowl when Brett Favre came and played in New Orleans, the Bounty Gate game. Well, we went to the party down there. We just went to hang out and party. All the Minnesota fans were down there. Oh, there's a bunch of big old blockhead Neanderthal looking there. Everyone looked like Brock Lesnar, even the women. I don't recall seeing a single black Minnesotian down there. Now, they may have just not been wearing a Vikings jersey, but all the white folks down there from Minnesota had on their purple jerseys. All big blockheads. Again, even the women. So to see all this racial crime going on up there just caught me off guard because I just didn't realize, I thought everything north of Tennessee was supposed to be a racial wonderland. Just race bliss. So it's surprising to me that they have that problem up there with the African American community and the police. Again, just looking at it from the 30,000 foot view and on the outside looking in, but you just don't see those things down here. We understand our past transgressions and we understand what's going, I think for the most part, white people here know when to shut up. And I think for the most part, black people here know when to shut up. And we kind of live separately. You get some situations. A lot of people get pissed off at me talking about this stuff. But I feel like we have to talk about it. If you just keep allowing one side to constantly talk about race, and you never defend it or say, hold on, pump the brakes, that's not true, that's not right, then there's no reason for them to ever believe that's not true or that's not right. I saw a black guy say something on somebody's Facebook page the other day that was the most absurd and asinine thing I've seen somebody say in a long time about white people and his assumption of our racism. And it was something to do with it was the SWAC. They have a new school, FAMU, Florida Atlantic. Anyway, FAMU, FAMU, had taken some games with Power 5 schools. And a buddy of mine posted it and just talking about, I don't know why you would go take a beating just for a payday. And most people got it. And they're like, well, you know, it funds the athletic department, is what it is. And then one guy's like, it's to entertain white folks. They love seeing that it's modern day buck breaking or something like that. I was like, man, he's like, white folks like it, modern day buck breaking. I'm like, hold on, bro. No, we don't. I don't know who you think you speak for or who you like. So apparently white folks get off on watching Power 5 predominantly black football teams beat up lower level black football teams. I can honest to God tell you. First, I don't in the least bit enjoy watching, say, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Alabama, an SEC school. I don't enjoy watching them play SWAC schools because it's not competitive games. I do, however, prefer if they're going to play a SWAC school for it to be JSU or you know, one of the in-state schools, Alcorn, because you keep that big payday in state. You should have to. They shouldn't be able to play one from out of state, in my opinion. So if they're going to spend the money, I'd rather than spend it in state, if that makes sense. But to say that Florida AMU, thank you. But to say that that's somehow a race thing, I was just like, huh? But you have to step up and say something every now and then. That's why I always heard that we got to have that tough conversation. We got to have that tough conversation. Well, I'm at the table to have it with anybody who ever wants to have it. You know, we can have it in public or we can have it on, you know, in private. But we can't keep sticking our heads in the sand and pretend that and just allow these people to run crazy with some of these assumptions about racism that's just not true. I'm not saying that there ain't some one random guy that sits off and gets off on that stuff, but by no means are they the majority or even speak for anybody outside of the man in their mirror. Damn sure don't speak for me. I just wanted to get that off my chest there. Corinthians says, let's be honest, who's watching the SWAC anything? I know. I mean, look, JSU's got its fans. They all got their little fans that, you know, they do their thing. And look, I'm a Mississippi State fan. We're you know, a whole lot of us outside of Mississippi. So I'm not going to bash anybody's football program, but you know, it is what it is. Okay. Kind of got that out of the way. Moving along here. I'm not going to keep y'all long tonight, I promise. But I just say, you know, it's important to have those racial conversations. If you see somebody saying something absurd, don't just nod your head and agree. You know, the people love to say silence is violence. Man, have that conversation. And, you know, I've got plenty of black people in my life, and we have these conversations all the time. Sometimes they bring it up. Sometimes I bring it up. But it's very healthy to have these conversations. So there's too much going on in the world not to have this conversation. I've got several guys I trust a lot to be able to have these tough conversations with. And you get comfortable. You're allowed, you can ask them things and they can ask you things. And I call it myth busting a lot of times. You're just kind of myth busting what's going on. And I think some things get misperceived as racism from the other side. And it's just not that way. It's just more things that are unique to a race versus racism. But I don't have to explain all that, man. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So did y'all see the Charlotte Reeves stuff yesterday? And she got enough. I don't even want to call it a fight, but her and a former staffer got into an argument, and they say Charlotte swung. What I saw was her pop the phone that was maybe in her face out of the way. Maybe she did swing. It was a bad angle. Watching it from a cell phone sideways, and then it went, I guess the phone landed face down, camera down, and all you could hear was screaming and hooting and hollering. I have two trains of thought on this. This platform has contributed to the demise of society in record time. Yes. Facebook has absolutely contributed to the demise of society in record time. I'm glad somebody else said that. Okay, so back to the Charlotte, and the girl's name was Ashley. So Charlotte's parked at a coffee shop having some coffee with somebody. Girl is on Facebook Live, sees Charlotte's car. Charlotte owes her some money, allegedly. She rolls in. She's MF for this, bitch this. I mean, just cussing up a storm about the money and a lawsuit or something. The guy sitting at the table was like, I probably wouldn't do it like this. And I don't want to get in their business. But I'm kind of from a school, and, I know some people are saying, well, Charlotte swung on her, so that's assault. But, I mean, I'm kind of from a school of talk shit, get hit. You can only roll up on somebody and say so much and not expect to throw down. I also think that, there's a personal space deal where if somebody violates your personal space and they're using fighting words, that's also because, you can hit them and it'd be self-defense. I'm not saying that's what happened here, but I think if you see somebody that you're mad at and you stop your car, get out, go in and cuss them out, shit, man, you got what you got coming. I'm not saying that Charlotte ain't in the wrong for owing her money or whatever the case may be, but if you go pick a fight and get punched in the face, don't be mad. I mean, my understanding is the girl won the fight after Charlotte swung, allegedly, or whatever you think you saw happen. But that's just my opinion on that. If you pull up on somebody and they swing on you, don't get mad. You got what you wanted. But I don't know. That was crazy. A bunch of nonsense. And I'm not picking sides on that. Miss Charlotte's been nice to me. I have nothing bad to say about her. And I'm strictly just talking about what I've seen. I don't know the Ashley girl either. I'm just talking about if I pulled up on somebody that I saw and I went in and cussed them out and they punched me in the face, I ain't got nobody to be mad at but myself. Just my opinion. All right. Look, so we brought on Coleman Taylor Transmission as a new sponsor. Of course, we're at the new USA Palm Studios here, but no longer at the palatial South Jackson, Save JXN Estates. We're now at the palatial Crossgates, Save JXN Estates. We are saving Jackson from afar as political refugees who had to seek asylum outside of Jackson. I was hoping for it not to be too long, but it looks like it's going to be 4 more years unless Charlotte Reeves or Les Tannehill can beat Antar. Or if Antar gets recalled, hell, Antar might end up in jail with all the stuff that's coming out. So who knows, man? But the other big news. I'm just sitting there thinking about all the stuff that's going on in the world, man. It's like I want to talk about local stuff. I want to talk about national stuff. There's so many things. The radio show, if you haven't heard, it's going 5 days a week. Thank you guys. If it wasn't for you guys supporting me, supporting the sponsors, listening to the show, I mean, all the numbers add up, man. Y'all download the podcast, y'all watch this stuff. It goes a long way and it's very much appreciated. I should probably be more mad because I'm never going to quit my day job. And I'm just putting more work on myself because of the success of the show and everything. So I should be like, dang it, why don't y'all quit watching so I can quit thinking that y'all want more of this? But I'm kidding, obviously, man. I'm very much appreciative of everything. I set the year out. Me and Crystal sat down, discussed our goals at the beginning of the year. 1 was to move, and 2 was to somehow, some way. And I'm telling you, in January, man, we had only done a couple podcasts at that point. But the other was to somehow be on the radio 5 days a week by the end of the year. I had no clue how I was going to do it. I had a little plan, but I didn't expect it to unfold this fast. Here we are. It'll be starting April 26th. The show will be 5 days a week. I'll be the morning guy at 103.9 WYAB at 7 a.m. Mondays will be 7 to 9. And Tuesday through Friday will be 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., 1 hour. And it may eventually go to we'll just have to see how all that works out. But if it goes to, it'll be 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And I don't know that I'm ready to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning yet. I'm not a Navy SEAL. We'll say that. But to be able to accomplish that goal within the first 4 full months of the year was really humbling and encouraging, because as you get a little older, man, setting goals becomes a little harder. You get a little more comfortable in what you're doing in life, and to be able to set those goals and accomplish them, man, it's a reminder to set another goal. So I've already set my next goal before we've even officially kicked off this current one. So much appreciation to everybody. Did y'all see where? Let's see if I can pull it up here. Did y'all see Dr. Fauci get his? I had to be careful how I say it, because these damn social media networks, AI, will take words out of context, and they don't get humor. I'll just read the headline. Here's how it works, Dr. Fauci. I get to ask you the questions. Representative Jim Jordan puts arrogant Fauci in his place. Let me pull the screen up here for you guys. This is on the Gateway Pundit. I highly recommend going and getting this video. Fauci got decapitated by Jordan. So he's like, we're 15 days to slow the spread. Hold on. So Congressman Jim Jordan ripped Fauci apart on Thursday for flip-flopping on COVID mitigation measures. Representative Jordan, the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, demanded Fauci give him a date for the end of COVID restrictions. 15 days to slow the spread turned into 1 year of lost liberty, Jim Jordan said. To no one's surprise, Fauci, an unelected, overpaid bureaucrat, said, I don't look at this as a liberty thing, Congressman Jordan. I look at this as a public health thing. And he says, of course not. Fauci is not beholden to the people and doesn't take an oath to defend the Constitution. Look, I'm not going to do this any justice. I'm going to just drop this right here. But he demanded that Fauci give a number. What is the number for us to get to do away with the mask and all the other nonsense? And Fauci would not give a number. He goes, it's just too high right now. So it just goes to show you they're just making it up as they go. It's why that it's when we start fighting back and we say, screw this. When we start fighting back and we say, screw this, that is when this nonsense stops. But it's like that racial conversation. But as long as we all just, well, not we all, y'all know my loud ass mouth has been fighting. And a lot of y'all have too. As long as we keep sticking our heads in the sand and just letting these fools run wild with all this nonsense, these Democrat mayors, the Republican governors like Tate Reeves, they're just going to keep taking our liberties away from us until people quit running scared and they say, hell no, I'm done with this. I refuse. These corporations, these manipulative politicians, they're just going to keep doing this crap. It's like MLB moving the baseball game out of Atlanta over Stacey Abrams getting her feelings hurt. Come on, man. It's like Coca-Cola and what did they say? Less white. And then they've all backpedaled now. And they're saying we need to find common ground on voting. It's just, man, we have to quit letting these corporations dictate what we do. Screw them. Anyway, what is the Corinthians saying? She goes, but when you fight back against corporate America, we'll be fighting back at you. Yeah, look, it's like using Facebook's platform and YouTube's platform here to bitch about them. It's a losing battle. As they say, you can't fight City Hall. That's what I feel like I'm doing here. But what do you do, man? I mean, I just feel like you have to say something. I still think there's more of us than there are of them, where the majority is bowing to the minority for some reason. And we just keep doing it. We keep saying, well, that's a silly thing. I brought this up about like the Mr. Potato Head stuff is a great example. Or Dr. Seuss. Or Apu, or whatever his name was from The Simpsons. When they start canceling these little things, and we're like, that doesn't affect me. That's silly. I don't care. Well, it emboldens cancel culture. And they just keep saying, we're like, oh, well, I got away with that one. So just like a bad kid or a criminal in Jackson. I got away with that. What's next? Oh, I can do that. What's next? I can cancel this. I can cancel that. Take away their guns. Take away their freedoms. Make them wear a mask everywhere they go. Stand 6 feet apart. Can't go here. We're going to lock it all down. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. They keep taking and taking and taking. At some point, they're going to run out of stuff to take. And then they're just going to take you. I'm pretty sure Hitler, about how all that went with Hitler, and we know how that ended. So call me crazy. That'll never happen again. But it's happening again. They're burning books. They're censoring everybody they disagree with. And they blocked James O'Keefe, the Project Veritas guy, on Twitter today. Not because he was wrong or he did anything wrong. They just didn't like what he did by putting CNN on blast. But if that had been a left-wing journalist doing that to Fox News, he would be celebrated. He'd been given a Nobel Peace Prize, an Edward R. Murrow Award, or whatever they give journalists. The hypocrisy is insane. But look, I'm going to close with talking about my sponsors real quick. Danny White is up in here tonight. Danny's got father and son professional lawn care. Father and son lawn care professionals, excuse me. Danny got out and cut my parents' grass for me the other day. Hadn't been cut all winter. Did a spectacular job. Had to weed eat the backyard. It was so bad in one spot. Just couldn't mow it. It was so wet. Y'all give Danny a call at 601-301-3210. Cannot go wrong with Danny. I'm just going to run through the sponsors, put them up on the screens here. I haven't added Coleman Taylor and AM Handyman to this yet, but as always, Jonesy Barbecue. If you need a rub, check out Jonesy. Use the Save JXN discount code, and you're going to get free shipping. Save JXN at checkout. Spend over $20, free shipping at JonesyQ.com. My good friends over at Generator Power Solutions, they sponsored the studio for the Clay Edwards Show on WYAB. That is the Generator Power Solutions studio over there. Give them a call at 601-519-4064 or GeneratorPowerSolutionsLLC.com. If you wonder what Generator Power Solutions is, if the power goes out, they got you but a home generator. Gonna click right on. Great financing options available, low interest rates. Give them a shout. Black Axis Throwing Club. Man, look, Keith and Kathy Black, love these folks. They're expanding their Old Fannin Road location. Or Fannin, was it Old Fannin Road or Fannin Road? Anyway, the Fannin Mart Reservoir location. They're expanding. They've taken out the spot next to them. So I think that basically gives them 3 spots inside that shopping center. It's going to be great out there. Really excited for them. Schedule a lane today at blackaxesms.com. And also visit their Pearl location at the outlets of Mississippi. All right, dumpsters in Mississippi. Everything's got Mississippi in it. I love it. Dumpsters in Mississippi. Kevin Roberts and his team, they're the first people that signed up and helped me out with the sponsorship stuff on the show, on the radio show. If you need a rollback dumpster for anything, put it out in your driveway. If you're moving, if you're a handyman, maybe AM Handyman needs a rollback dumpster, he needs to call Dumpsters of Mississippi. Give Kevin and his team a call today at 601-966-8599. You load it up, they haul it off. That's all you got to do. Whether it's a weekend DIY job or you're a major contractor doing a remodel. My good buddy Lakeland Glass and Tint, Jason Anderson, he came and hosted the show with me over at WYAB Tuesday, we did 2 hours of radio. The podcast is available. Just go search Clay Edwards Show or The Clay Edwards Show, wherever you get podcast. Check out Lakeland Glass and Tint at 601-946-1000. And the gym at Byram. I'm not in Byram no more, but I still love the gym at Byram. 24 hours, full everything. You name it, they got it. Swimming pool, indoor, gymnasium for basketball, tanning, all the spin classes you can imagine, cardio area, professional weightlifting area, saunas, jacuzzis, the whole 9 yards. Check out the gym at Byram.com, 601-372-2229. And I mentioned father and son Southern Lawncare Professionals, Danny White, 601-301-3210. Please support these people, man. It is not easy for businesses to always support conservative talk. I mean, it should be. To me, it's absolutely ridiculous that cancel culture goes after people who want to advertise their product to the majority. Because we are the majority. Conservatives are the majority, especially here in Mississippi. And you have one or two internet terrorists that harass these businesses here and there. That little guy, Tasty, that slides in everybody's DMs, cussing them out and sending them BLM crap. You know, don't let people like that shake you. When you let people like that bother you, you give them the power. They ain't shit. Don't worry about those people. Excuse my language. I shouldn't cuss, but I've been wanting to get that off my chest because I just more and more people send me screenshots of that guy harassing them. Nothing to do with us, but just maybe they commented on a WLBT post or another news channel post and he stalked them and harassed them and this, that, and the other. Don't worry about people like that, man. They're powerless unless you give them power. That's cancel culture in a whole, right? If you don't give them the power, they have no power. So support these businesses. I shouldn't have to tell you that. These are your neighbors. These are all locally owned hometown businesses. You support them, you win in the long run. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you missed anything, you can go back and hit play, and this will be available on the podcast. Just search the Save JXN Podcast. I know it's a little confusing. I've got the Clay Edwards logos and stuff up here. I was playing around with some stuff and just forgot to change it back. But I appreciate you guys. Sorry for the sound issue earlier. Don't know what happened there. I was watching Napoleon last night. I saw he was having some mic issues on the front end of his show too. I guess anytime we're talking about Jackson, we're getting sabotaged on our mics. I'm kidding, obviously. But look, y'all take care. I will be back on the radio Monday mornings at 8 a.m. on 103.9 WYAB. And who knows, I may end up back on a live feed again here in a day or so. Y'all take it easy. Peace out.